everyone. I'm filming this on Monday the 1st of March, so happy Monday, happy March, and happy St David's Day if you're Welsh like me. I thought I'd just do a quick flip through of how I used my planner for February. Haven't really changed anything this month, it seems to be working really well for me. So, one moment. Nice cup of tea. So here we go. Oh, this desk is so tiny. So tiny. What's different? I actually managed to get to the shops this month and bought these cute new stickers. I think they're actually too big to really be used in here. I got these from WHSmiths in the UK, and you can write here a little message for yourself or whatever you need to write down, and then you stick it onto the page and you can fold this up so it looks like it's holding the envelope. I just thought they were ridiculously cute and I want to use them, but they're kind of too big for the diary in here, but I'm sure I'll make use of them somewhere. And also these ones, these little page markers and unicorn post-it note. I just thought they were cute, so I'd show you those. Otherwise everything is as it was before. This month, I think I went through this in my last video for January, but I'll just show you. I think it's helpful to see how a period tracker looks after a couple of months of actually filling it in, because you can see like how it works properly. So yeah, just noting here at the top how many days my cycle has in it, the kind of seasons aligned with my cycle here in highlights, and just each day I note down the day of my cycle and just kind of how I felt that day. It's like such as my energy, how I slept, how I'm feeling, if my skin's good or bad, and kind of how I'm feeling in my body. So sometimes not much to say, other times I just have to sort of squish it in a little bit. But yeah, this just works well. And then I find that over the months, you can sort of look back, let's say the 7th day of your cycle, look back on the last month's 7th day and kind of compare how you feel. Because I do find that over the months, there are trends, and you can see when perhaps you'll have an energy slump coming up, or when might be a good time to sort of be really productive and motivated. And that's just kind of what I find this useful for. So I'll be starting March. I do like this sheet here. This is just a Filofax one. I just find it works, and I like how you can kind of change the way it folds so that as you go through the year, you can have different months be the ones that you start on when you open the page. I can't do it for March, unfortunately, but it's only on the back here. So yeah, that's good. This is my nutrition tracker. I mentioned in my previous video for January that I do track food and my calories just to kind of make sure, firstly, that I'm eating enough, because I am quite an active person, and that I'm hitting certain macros to maintain muscle growth. But a disclaimer, like I mentioned before, is if I sort of ever come to this in a sort of unhealthily controlling way, then I won't track. So I do sort of have cycles with this. So the end of January, I was sort of becoming quite unhealthily obsessive about it. So I just took the decision to actually not track for a while. But it's all been good in February. I had a good sort of 3-4 weeks here of just being really mindful, making sure I was eating enough and hitting lots of protein. The green ticks here don't indicate like, oh, that was a good day, and the red doesn't indicate it was a bad day, because, you know, I've struggled with disordered eating in the past, and that's not a good mindset to have. So here the green ticks literally just mean that I met my macros that day, and as you can see, it's not really that often, to be honest. I mean, I try, but, you know, I'm not obsessive about it. It's just kind of, oh, you know, this was actually a good day for macros for me. So that is my nutrition tracker, and this is working well for me. It's just something I do in the morning from the day before. And again, like with the period tracker, I can just kind of move the months around as I need them. So really enjoying this because it does just keep me on track. And what I'm also going to start doing in March is kind of noting down somewhere on the sides any vitamins or minerals that I might need to keep an eye on as well. I've sort of wanted to get into a habit here of calories and macros, but then on the next month get into a better habit with making sure my minerals and vitamins are being met. So that's the plans for this. Not sure how I'm going to fit all of this information into these small sections, but I can split it up into 3, I think, if I use a ruler and tiny handwriting. So what have we have here? Ah yes, so this is the monthly calendar. This was it for January, and this was it for February. As you can see, it's kind of boring to look at. There's not much to do at the moment because in the UK we are still in a lockdown for about 3 months now. So not much that I've been able to do. It's just mostly like the yellow highlights here. I'm not sure you can see on camera. I just note down each day what I've done as a physical activity that day. For example, walks, yogas, Zoom workouts, that kind of stuff, so that I can see in a glance, you know, if I've had a long run of activities, I need to schedule a rest day. Which, looking at this, I think I had 1 rest day this whole month, which is no wonder I'm so tired at the end of this month. And then just general house life admin, that's purple for me here. So housework, groceries, I mean, not particularly exciting stuff, but hopefully as the months go on this year, this will begin to look a bit more busy. I've also got here the moon cycles, and yeah, that was it really. I had a few days off, which I noted with this little sticker and these grey lines, because the grey corresponds to what I use in my Google Calendar on my phone. And so do the colours here actually. And as I kind of start doing more things in my personal life, once lockdown phases out, the colours that I use on this calendar will coordinate with the ones I use on my phone, because it's just helpful for me at a glance when I open this to just see kind of what I've done when, particularly with the physical activities. So yeah, that's the calendar, and I've set this up for March. I've not actually put in the moon cycles yet, which I will do after this video. Kind of simple again, there's not much planned, although I've got a couple of Zoom appointments this month, which will be good, and Ostara's coming up. So that's it for March. So January, February and March ready to go. What else? Ah yes, so last month I played around with trackers, and I remember saying to you, I'm not going to have a tracker sheet because I just don't want to be bothered with it. And I've ended up making a tracker sheet because I originally had this. I was going to just use this as something to refer to during the day and be like, oh yeah, that's a reminder. But then I thought actually it would be helpful for me at the end of the week to look back and see what did I actually find easy to get done in my daily routines, and what did I struggle with, what might need to change. You know, our sort of routines and rituals aren't set in stone. We can change them whenever we like. And if something isn't working, because a few things weren't, then we can change them. And rather than, you know, writing this out every single week, just seemed a bit of a waste. I just have this saved on an Excel spreadsheet, print this out, and I can easily change the titles here, and it is working really well. So it went from this as a kind of a draft version when I first thought about setting this up, and then it's kind of moved into this. So, I mean, please forgive the titles I've given my routines throughout the day. It's just something to keep it fun for myself. Sometimes I have to treat myself like a child, you know, like hide vegetables in my own meals and, you know, give routines fun names, because that would encourage me to do them. So in the morning I have my power hour. I then have a little break from work mid-morning. I have midday motivation. This is when I do my workouts. have some lunch, listen to a podcast or an audiobook. Afternoon action, which I typically try to squeeze in an hour or two of studying for something more kind of for personal development really than work-related study. And then I do a tidy up after work, I go for a walk or do some yoga, especially if I've been sitting down a lot during the day at my desk, and then plan the next day. And then have, oh my God, please forgive me, evening ending. So I make dinner and tidy up, have a shower or a bath, do some rehab, and then relax. And I have actually put this down as a specific thing because I do have a bad habit of, I feel guilty if I sit down in front of the TV to just watch the TV. I'm like, oh, I could be planning something, or I could be, you know, Googling something or researching, and I'm really bad at actually just taking an hour to relax in the day where I do nothing but that, if that makes sense. I always have to be doing like 2 or 3 things at a time, and it's not very good for my brain, because then around this time I struggle to start to switch off for bed. And sleep soundly is my final routine of the day, where I take a tea, a nice sleepy herbal tea, sometimes take a sleeping tablet, just one of the herbal kinds if I'm struggling to sleep. And then I set up my bedroom, do my skin and teeth, and wind down. So just before I go to sleep, I'll, you know, write a couple pages in my journal or read. I skipped over power hour in the morning because this is actually something I am pretty good at. You can see here over the last couple of weeks, I hit this routine pretty much on point every single day, except for the weekends, because the weekend's different. And this has kind of been something I've done for a good few years now. And I mean, some of these are things that really I shouldn't probably put down, but you know, I read it is good to just put down all of your routines, because if you want to create new habits, then you can look at your routines and think, where can I attach a new habit to that makes it easier? So for example, the first thing I do when I wake up is I brush my teeth and do my skincare. They're just kind of what I do at the same time, and that never changes. After that, I have a coffee and do meditation back in bed. So I did actually put, I had this written as coffee and meditation, but sometimes I didn't do my meditation. And coffee is something I have every single day, whatever I do. So coffee seemed a bit of a silly thing to put down, but I did keep the meditation because I do want to see where I miss my meditations and how I feel those days. So if sometimes I miss quite a few of my routines, I can skip back to this and see how was I feeling that day and why. For example, maybe one week a lot of my routines were interrupted. Was it because I had low energy, or I was out and about, or maybe I was feeling quite low? So it's just kind of good to look at the two and see if there's like a theme. And then I have, after meditation, I do a bit of self-development. That can be reading, my tarot, or journaling. It tends to be tarot. I do tarot every other morning. And then I make the bed, get dressed, have breakfast and track my food, start the day and put my phone away. So these are like tacked on routines and habits because they just make sense. You know, as soon as I sit down with my breakfast at the table, I open my tracking app, log that day's food, and then that's done. And then I also have a bad habit of, when I'm sitting at my desk for work, I have my phone next to me and I'm constantly checking messages or social media. So once I've logged on, start the day, I chuck my phone across the room to the sofa and just leave it there for an hour or two so that I can actually get some work done. So yeah, we're going to see how this goes over the next few weeks again. I had here in one of my AM breaks a phone check to try to limit the amount of time that I spent on my phone, and this was just something that I didn't really need, so I crossed that out. And then the next week I replaced this with stretch, because I think after I spend a few hours sort of hunched over in the morning, just take a 15-minute time to stretch is something I'd like to incorporate. Not that I did this once last week, so I can see here that is something I do need to work on. So yeah, I think it's just interesting to see, like, and again, you know, like with the tracking of my nutrition, I'm not obsessed with this. Like if I get to the end of the day and there's some things I haven't ticked off, I don't sort of feel guilty for it, and I try not to punish myself for it. It's just to kind of manage well-being and see that if I start getting anxious or I'm not sleeping well, then these things will probably sort of go out the window a little bit. And that's okay, that's life. It's just good to see where perhaps I can support myself more. So if I'm not stretching every single day after I've been sat at the desk for hours, then I'm going to feel that at the end of the week, and to just keep that in mind. So this is, whilst it's kind of a tracker for my routines, it's mostly to continue support myself and my well-being. So yeah, but this is just something I created for myself in an Excel spreadsheet. So next, oh yeah, trackers. I mean, TV and movies. I'm watching so many films at the moment. I'm trying to rewatch all of the Marvels in time for The Falcon and Winter Soldier in a couple of weeks. And also Sebastian Stan's entire back catalogue, because I'm madly in love with him and he doesn't even know I exist, but that's fine. So the films here are ones I actually haven't seen before. So I mean, I do watch kind of maybe a film every other day, and I don't know every single film down. Like if I've already watched a film, then it doesn't go on this list. This is just new movies that I've watched in that year. And again, the same with TV series. What have I watched this last month? Endings and Beginnings was good. The Devil All the Time, great cast. I'm currently watching The Crown and WandaVision, so that hopefully they will be on there soon. Although The Crown is a real slow burner, and if I'm honest, I don't know if I'm going to continue with it, but it's easy to watch. Oh my gosh, and Once Upon a Time. I feel like The Crown and Once Upon a Time are really chunky series to be watching. So yeah, taking my time with those. Anyway, I'm going to skip over that one. Read a few books last month. A Touch of Darkness, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, Norse Mythology on audiobook, and Fighting Destiny. I am new to these more kind of fantasy smut books, and I can say they are super fun to read, really nice quick reads. And Can't Hurt Me was kind of a self-development book, which I do recommend. And this is a list of books I want to read. I didn't put it on the back of here because I wasn't sure how many books I'm going to read. And if I do start reading audiobooks or listening to audiobooks more often, then this list is probably going to get quite long, and I wanted to keep this page separate. So these are all the fantasy books that I'd like to read. I wrote down here like a DL for when I download them, because I'm probably going to read most of these on my Kindle. I tend to only get actual books if they're kind of more the self-development kinds, that I can make tabs in them and come back to them over the years. For example, Tiny Habits is a good example, and Can't Hurt Me. Both of these books have like challenges and activities that you can complete, so they're really helpful to actually have in a book form on the shelf. And I'll show you what I mean. So here with Tiny Habits, I've put on the top tabs of just kind of interesting sentences or paragraphs or things I want to remember, more like the quotable things. And then on the right hand side here, I have the tabs for actual activities that you can complete. And when I've completed them, I do a little tick here. So let me just flick quickly. So like here, for example, is an exercise. So on a Saturday morning, I'll sit down and do a bit of self-development from one of my books. I've done most of the ones from this book now, but just as an example, I'll flip it open, complete the exercise, and then tick it off. And then I know which ones I've done, and I've got them all saved for the future as well, because it would be quite handy to sort of come back to this every year or so, to just keep an eye on the habits and the rituals that I like. So yes, and then these are the books to read that, like I was just saying, will probably be on Kindle. So I write down a DL when I've actually downloaded them, a tick on the right hand side when I've started that book, and then I tick it off on the left when I've finished it. the old 3-step process, which is not needed, but just calms my anxiety, you know. So lots of things to read. Very excited. No fitness BBs last month. I've had a few injuries, and I mean the gym's still closed, so meh, whatever. What can I talk to you about next? Aha. Finance section. I think I did show you this last week, and I'll take these sheets out so you can see. So this is my donations. I try to donate to a different charity each month, and I've also written down here when I give money, for example, with lockdown, for like Instagram workouts or Zoom live workouts, that kind of stuff, because I kind of think of those as donations as well, because I wasn't quite sure where else to put it. So that's just to note this is for January and February. Not much in bills paid. I showed you the beginning of this last month, but you'll be able to see clearer now how this works. So this is for my general shopping and expenditure each month. This is for kind of everything. So groceries, stuff for the home, stuff I've bought myself, and like pocket money stuff. So pocket money stuff for me, because again, I'm an adult that needs to treat myself like a child. To make sure I stay within my budget, I give myself a certain amount of money each month to spend on whatever I like. So that can be going out and buying dinner with friends, or buying clothes, all that kind of stuff. But I note everything down together here. So for the columns, I write the date here. I highlight between the months so that I can see where one month ends and another one begins. In here, it's obviously just what the payment was. For example, groceries, or maybe I went to Smiths, which is a stationery shop here. And here I tick off in different colours what that payment was kind of related to. So, for example, the green is groceries, purple is something for the home, pink is my own pocket money, blue is petrol for the car, and the black one here, I left that as black because it didn't really belong anywhere. I bought an exercise bike, so I did use the money from a main account, but it didn't really seem to fit anywhere because it was a one-off payment, so I just left that as black. But yeah, the rest will kind of have the highlighted colours, so that when I look back through the month, I can see at a glance how much I spent in what category. I do have a bad tendency to buy a lot of food. Hopefully the camera picks it up, but as you might be able to tell, for example, I can see looking at this that I spent a lot of money on groceries, and not even, you know, the weekly shop. These are just walking around and popping into a supermarket and just grabbing a bag of bits, or popping to the off license. So it's fine, but it just shows me where my money does go, because particularly in lockdown, I get bored, go for a walk, and often just buy something just kind of for the sake of it. In this column here, I've written down what account this came out of. So I have 3 accounts. I have a main account, my pocket money account, and my home account, which is where I pay for petrol, bills and groceries. And as I explained, the pocket money is just for whatever I want to buy that's within a budget. And my main account is where all my bills come out of, and I don't typically store money. That's just an account where my salary gets paid into, and I divvy up my budget into the different accounts. And here I have written my Nectar card, my Nectar card statement. So a Nectar card here in the UK is connected to one of the supermarkets. It's just kind of a points-based thing. It's not great, to be honest, but it's good to see what I've got as the year goes. So yeah, that's, I mean, you know, I don't really mind you seeing what I've spent on what here, because it's not like I've got any of my account information here, but I thought it would be useful for you to see, because these finance sheets, I sort of use these columns to what just fits me. This is actually supposed to mean, you know, cash, card or cheque, which is obviously kind of outdated now. Everything I pay for is pretty much on card, so I've used these other columns in a way that just helps me. So if that helps you, then that's good. The last one is takeaways. Doing quite well with this because I was spending a lot of money on takeaways, and it's come down a bit now because I don't want to be writing it on there, so it prevents me from doing it. But also, I don't just pop on here dinners, I also note down if I've gone out and grabbed a coffee, although I'm not a big takeout coffee person because I'd rather have one at home. So finally, my diary. Look at that, 2 whole months ticked off already. So where are we this week? So we're here this week. So this was the end of January, which I think I showed. So going into February, I do try to keep decoration quite minimum, and I stick to kind of like a colour theme this year. Originally, my plan for this was to have a colour theme for the calendars at the front, and then the diary section to just be whatever it needed to be, because like I mentioned before, I do have certain colours that correspond to different categories of my life. But actually it's just worked out that I prefer this diary section to just kind of look neat and tidy as possible. And instead what I've done is the highlight colour for that week, I do different patterns with it depending on what the category is. So for example, physical activities are underline, some daily things that I need to tick off are sort of dashes, things that I've read or watched are in brackets. So just kind of things like that, and things out of the ordinary I sort of do a dash underline. These would be things like if I met a friend or I have a class on Zoom, that kind of thing. So I know what I'm looking at, but it's not messy. And I'm still keeping work for the most part out of this diary, which I am enjoying, because when I come to this space, it's just about me and my life, not about what's going on with work. I manage all my work stuff on Outlook, and I just didn't want it to be included in here this year. But what I do for work is I do make a note the day before of meetings I have the next day. I don't write any detail about them, I don't want to know. It's just so that in the morning when I look at my diary, I'm like, okay, I have to be available for work at this time. At the top of each week, I write down either helpful quotes, things to keep in mind. These kind of things change each week. Sometimes it might be a quote I read from a book, or something I've taken away from a tarot reading, or anything really that's just I find inspiring and motivating, and I try to do this every week. I think I've managed it so far this year. Yeah, so on a Sunday I'll just sit down with the following week, write down the meetings I have, prepare these dashes. These are just things that I didn't actually put on my tracker, I don't know why. Maybe I could put this on my tracker, although these are the things that are really important. So these are like meditation in the morning, take my vitamins, track my food, and make sure I read or study for some amount of time that day. So even if the other kind of rituals and trackers go a bit awry, as long as I've done these four, these are the basic take care of myself things, then I'm happy. So this was the first week of February, second week of February, third week of February. You can see here I do note down what I've eaten for dinner that day. I don't write down everything that I eat in a day on this because that's all in my tracking app, and it would just take too much time, but I like to remember and look back on what I have for dinner. I had porridge for dinner that day, I was feeling lazy. And then this was the last week of February. You can see here I actually messed up this week. I started on the Monday writing on this top bit, which is obviously an empty section, but it was fine. I just swapped these boxes around. But yeah, shows how messed up my brain is at the moment. I can't find it quite hard to focus on things for more than like 10 minutes at a time. And yeah, that's it really. I mean, I've prepared the next couple weeks. Again, my decoration is very simple. I literally just put a strip of washi at the bottom and pick a colour to use that week that goes with it, and a few stickers, but nothing too crazy. I'm also trying to not use these 3D ones because they're really annoying to write on with the other side. I prefer these flat ones, but the majority of stickers I have are these kind of big juicy ones. But I also cut into the holes in my sheets. And if you can see here, I just make a little incision so that I can take these pages in and out really easily, rather than having to keep the sheets in the diary, especially for decorating or writing each day. Because I don't want this to be messy. I find it easy to just take it out like that. And then at the end of the year, because I do like to keep these inserts, I hole punch the top and use a treasury tag to keep the pages together. It also helps to kind of preserve the rings, because I don't want to be opening and closing these all the time if I can help it. So this is just an easy way to look after them. So yeah, back to this. I've done the next couple of weeks, just a little sticky. I try to use stickies if I'm not sure if something's going to go ahead, or just to kind of remind me something's coming up, and then I'll write it in on the day. That's this week. I've gone with the purple unicorn theme, as you can see, and next week is yellow and pink. And then I try to only do 2 weeks at a time, because I also try to decorate according to how the weather is. Sometimes it's the complete opposite. I mean, this week it snowed a lot, and I kind of had a very, you know, pink flowery kind of theme, thinking, oh, it will start warming up this week, but it didn't. It snowed, but it's fine. And this week, funnily enough, I thought it might be a rainy week. That's what the weather app said. So raindrops and clouds here, and this actually was a really lovely sunshiny week. But yeah, it just makes me smile, because as I look back and I sort of know every few days what the temperature is, I can see, oh, got that wrong. But yeah, I'm enjoying this kind of more simple way of decorating it this year. Before, I used all different sorts of colours, and to be honest, looking back, it just looks a mess on my really old inserts from a few years ago. I mean, I can understand it, because obviously I know what the colours are that I use that relate to different parts of my life, but to look at, it just wasn't very enjoyable. And I'm liking this super simple way of using highlighters as well. Got this idea from the lovely lady Plans Meets Paper, because I know that each month on her calendars she uses one particular colour to highlight things, and I really liked that idea. So just thought I'd mention that. Check her out if you haven't. She's one of my favourite channels. And she's also where I got all the inspiration for my home planner, which I've just realised I've been waffling on for quite a long time today. So although I promised a quick flip through of this, I think I'm actually going to do a separate video after all. It will be a very quick one, because this isn't a kind of a finished product yet. But I figure that's enough for today. It's sort of a recap of February. And I'll be back very soon, I promise this time, to show you this one. So thanks for watching today. Hope you had a great February and you're all ready for a brand new month of March. I feel like hope is there, spring is coming, the end of lockdown will be happening one day this year. And oh, I just can't wait. I can't wait to get back to my life. I miss my life so much. I mean, I'm enjoying things as they are. I do find joy in each day, but I just miss going out and seeing my friends and going out for dinner, going to the gym. I miss it all when I'm ready. Sending you lots of love and hugs, and thanks for watching, and see you soon.